Welcome to the Boston's Big Four podcast. Cast. New news about music and sports every week, sometimes.
Yeah. We're back. Episode 105, Boston's Big Podcast. Long awaited. This one's been long awaited. We got Brandie MF'n Blaze in the building.
Finally.
Thank you for coming on.
Finally.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming. We're very excited. When I say finally, I mean
overdue.
We used to watch you perform at Maggie's Lounge in Quincy.
Yep.
Back in, I want to say, like 2014, 2015, at least. Maybe 2013, like back then. And always were blown away by your performances. Like
yes.
You stuck out to us because the energy you brought on stage and just your performances always stuck out to us. And I remember going home after those shows and always looking up your music. And it was hard to find stuff back then.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, maybe 3 years ago, we started seeing your name everywhere. Articles are being written about you. And then you released the album Late Bloomer in 2019. And it was like, you know, not to toot our own horns, but we saw this coming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you guys so much.
It's like, and not to like keep saying this, but so we went to those Maggie shows for a friend of ours who used to be on this podcast. And you know when you go to like a show for your friend, you're usually there for your friend. And like there might be other people there and they could be good, but you're focusing on your friend. And you shone through all of the bias that we had, like, or that I had. And I remember thinking like star quality, like that's like the only way to say it. It was just like your performance, the music, every part of it, like the aura changed, like compared to other performances that I had seen those nights. So, like
Absolutely.
Jack said, we totally saw it coming.
I remember we brought a couple of our friends, Sam and Pat, who are not huge hip hop fans, and we brought them there once. And I remember I asked them after the show, I was like, "What'd you think?" They were like, "Oh, it was all right." They were like, "But who was Brandie Blaze?" They were like, "She was really good." I was like, "Yes." I was like, "I know. She's here all the time." So yeah. You were our favorite part of going to those shows, honestly.
Oh, my God. Thank you, guys. Also, rest in peace to Maggie's.
Yes, rest in peace to Maggie's.
I think the sign's still there. I drove by, like, not too long ago, so I was like, oh, is it still? And then I saw, like, boards on, and I'm
know.
like, oh,
yeah.
it's close.
Like, it's so sad. It was such a great time. Definitely end of an era. Like, what an amazing time that was.
Yeah, and it also, I think, goes to show that, like, pop-in venues don't have to be, like, giant rooms. Like, Maggie's was just, like, a small place that had good shows. Like you would get them, and you were right there in front of the artist.
Unfortunately, it was like the only place around the South Shore that had hip hop music.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah, so
we're trying to change that.
Hopefully, another. I don't know who's gonna buy that place, but hopefully, there's another venue there. But those were the days.
I know what I just really got my start there. Maggie's will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Always.
And isn't it like you can't bring drinks to the patio after 9 or something like that? You get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I remember that. I got yelled at a couple times. I remember that.
I did too.
Yeah. Well, because like it would be okay, and then like it suddenly wouldn't be okay.
Yeah,
so it was like, and you're just getting yelled at all night. But hey, it was still a good time.
They didn't really tell you when it wasn't okay anymore. They just yelled at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Maggie's and shout out to just everyone who put those shows on. Those were a lot of fun back in the day. So
absolutely,
when you look back at those, what do you think? Like what was your thought process at that time, and did you imagine that your music would gain traction like it did in the coming years?
When I first started going to Maggie's, obviously shout out to Hush Harding.
Yes.
I love him forever, and just really eternally grateful for all the things that he did to really help jumpstart my career. I was at a point where I had just decided to start doing this seriously in about like 2013. So yeah, 2013, 2014 is when I was like, okay, you know, maybe this is something that I should really seriously pursue. So I was just very, very hungry. I would go to any and all rap shows, like especially if they said that they were going to have a cypher, or even if they didn't, I would go just to like kind of meet people and see like, you know, who's hot on the scene, who's popping, who's throwing the shows, because that was really important, like getting connected with those type of people. So I had saw a flyer for one of Hush shows on Facebook just randomly, And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go because it said there was going to be a cypher on it. So I said, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I went, didn't know anybody, went by myself, which is what I always did. I would always go to these shows most, like 99% of the time by myself.
I love that.
And they passed me the mic and I just...
Went off?
Yeah. And Hush was definitely like, who is that? He was like, do you want a slot in the next show? I said, yeah. And it just kind of started from there. And then I was there every month. Became a part of No Muzzle. I was part of No Muzzle for a bit.
Yeah.
So, just eternally grateful for that venue and for Hush. Because I really just did not know what to do beyond just trying to get heard by anyone. I'm from Dorchester, but I couldn't book any shows. I couldn't do any shows in Boston at all. I really didn't start getting shows in Boston until I started getting traction on the North Shore and the South Shore. Okay. So really it was like Hush and like Rec Shop that really pushed me and really got me into the places that I needed to be and introduced me to the people that I needed to meet.
Yeah, and it's like Hush is the DIY king. Like,
he does everything.
No, he really does.
And we were just saying this before we started recording is like I was always under the impression that artists sort of did their art and then other people did everything else, the business, the marketing and stuff. And we've talked about this. And then I remember seeing our buddy Eastman had started also working with Hush, and I could see Hush. He's talking about the marketing. This is how you get your posts up. This is how you make beats. Like, I actually went to Hush's house to learn how to make beats before, and I thought it's just like the more you'd think he's focusing on like one thing, and I'm sure there got to be other people, but I just remember commending his particular ability to do that and his willingness to help other people. So shout out Hush. I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when I met Hush, my logo that I have now is still the logo that Hush created for me with the lipstick print and all of that. That was Hush. When I met Hush, I didn't have an album out, didn't have any music out. I had like nothing. I did have an engineer that I worked with. Shout out to Fresh from DE. I had met him before I met Hush. So I did, I was recording, but I really didn't know anything. And Hush definitely taught me a lot and really put me into the position where I could be right now, where I feel like I can do all these things, besides just creating the art, like, the promo, the marketing, coming up with the different types of social media posts and videos that I make. All of that really does come from Hush. So, salute to him. And like I said, I love him forever. And I'm always going to be eternally grateful to him for everything he did for my career.
Absolutely. Big shouts, Hush.
Yes.
Big shouts, No Muzzle. And I do think people do need to focus a little more on like the doing all those things now. Like, and I think some of the downfall of people who are talented but don't get traction is that they aren't. Like, maybe they're assuming someone's going to elevate them at some point. So we need mentors like that. So it's important. And like, I'm sure you're passing the knowledge that you've gotten down to anyone you've met in the industry now. It's big.
Absolutely. And I'm actually blessed now that I do have a team that I work with. So shout out to Amanda Shea, DJ Y,
Big
Sham,
shout out Amanda Shea.
Todd from Platforms Music. Like, that is really JD is my manager. So that is my team right now. And I think really the things that I learned from Hush put me in a position where I could have a team because I am like a control freak. So I really held on to everything until it was like, this is unmanageable. I need help. But I knew kind of like what I needed from everybody. And I think those are really the lessons I learned from Hush, and just, trial and error, trying things on my own, so that now when I do have a team, I can be real specific. Like, this is what I need. This is what I need you to work on. This is what I'm going to work on. Like, I'm still very heavily involved. I could never give up complete control because I'm insane. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfectionist. Like, I can never give up complete control, but really just like those lessons of, everything I went through with my first album and being with No Muzzle and being with Hush, like, really just kind of led me to where I'm at now.
Okay. That's
so,
awesome.
You hadn't performed live until 2013, 2014?
Well, I've been performing since I was a toddler.
Okay. I was going to say, there's no way you had that kind of stage presence right off the bat.
No, my mom signed me up for dance classes when I was 3.
Okay. So you're used to performing.
I'm used to the stage. Was pretty much raised on it. I danced for a long time. my mom put me in acting classes. Like my mom really put me on this trajectory. Like, and I'm also, that's another thing like I'm grateful for. Everyone loves Mama Blaze, so shout out to Mama Blaze.
Shout out Mama Blaze.
A lot of these things, I'm an only child raised by a single mom. We didn't have a lot of money, but one thing my mom did was she spoiled me with experiences instead of things. So it's just like, hey, do you want to try this thing? Okay, cool. Like, you want to do martial arts? Cool. You want to be a cheerleader? Cool. You want to dance? Cool. You want to play soccer? Cool. You want to go to acting classes? Bet. Like, and she would find a way to make those things happen for me. And because of that, I really fell in love with performing at a really young age, and I was just really comfortable with it. Like, there's still VHS tapes of me at like 3 years old. Like at the recitals.
That's gonna be in the documentary someday.
Yes, right?
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So do you still like choreograph? Is dancing still a part of like because your music videos are super like the one you did with now I'm realizing the conversation you did a video with Red Shades.
Yes.
I remember thinking the choreography was great, and now I'm remembering I think Red Shades also partially directed that. Were you involved in like the choreography of any of your video work, I guess?
When I did the Tia Tamara video with Red Shades, shout out to also again Jay Hunt. I love to just give people their flowers.
Oh, please shout out. We'd love
Shout out
shout
Jay
out.
Hunt.
So I love Jay Hunt. Really everything that me and Red did was on the spot. Like we're just like in the Quincy reservoirs?
Yeah, the quarries.
Yes. So we're just there with like the smoke bombs, and like we can hear people from the top like yelling down to us. They're like, "What?" They're like, "That record's fire. What are y'all doing?" Like people just coming up to us. It was really just me and Red playing off each other's energy, really.
Yeah.
And just everything was just really organic and natural and on the spot. She's one of my favorite people to collaborate with. Like, we just play off each other so well, and it's the friendliest competition because she usually washes me when it comes to bars. Like, she washes me. I don't even care. Like, I love her that much. I do my best, but Red usually washes me.
Red is fire. Red is fire.
But it's like she makes me want to be better, and I love her dearly as a friend. Like I said, it's the friendliest competition. So when we do records together, it's very much, I'm like, I stick my chest out. I'm like, I'm going to come with the hardest bars I got because I know I can't slack with her.
Well, of course.
I will say, and my introduction to Red Shades was your performance at the House of Blues for the Boston Music Awards.
Oh, wow.
And I remember saying, and this is not taking away from your performance at all, but I remember saying, whoever that was with the red glasses was amazing.
So
and Jack's like, that's Red Shades.
Yeah, so I got there late, and Owen was like, I missed your performance, unfortunately. I was pissed, and Owen was like, yeah, she brought out someone with these red shades on. I was like, that's Red Shades.
Yeah, and I was like, it was a sick performance.
Like, is the branding not on point with her? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
it was like
Absolutely.
so perfect, and I was like, that couldn't have been more perfect the way it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I think her and Oompa as well, just like
Oompa too, yeah.
that moment at the Boston Music Awards, like being able to bring out both of them with me, it was meant so much to me because it's just like, yo, this is just the time of like women in rap. Like we're coming back. Like it reminds me very much of like the 90s and how there was so many different female rappers and they all did different things. But I don't know if you guys remember, I think it's the was it Vibe magazine that had like the iconic cover with like the 4 female rappers and they had the crowns. Like I always think of that in that time of rap, and I'm like, we're getting back to that. So me having that time and being able to bring out 2 other female rappers that I respect and that I love to work with that make me better was just like a huge moment in my career I'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been like, what did it feel to be up there on stage, like at the House of Blues? That's unbelievable.
Terrifying. I was so scared, but then I think when I was about to go on, I actually missed my cue. No one noticed this, so I actually missed the first bar of the first song, but I caught it. And I was like, okay, I was meant to do that. That wasn't an accident, right? No, it was because I was backstage freaking out so bad that like I couldn't hear exactly what was going on. So I came out and I just like caught it, and I was just like, okay, here we are. And it's still like the biggest crowd I've ever done. And just, it was just so intimidating, but I also feel like it was still one of the best performances I've ever done. I was
an
just like
amazing
running off adrenaline. Like, it's too late, because I always told myself, I'm like, I do have stage fright, which a lot of people don't know that. I get very panicky before I get on stage. I get very, very anxious. But my thing is always, if you just push yourself out there, you're already out here. So you have to do something.
You got to do something. You can't do nothing.
You can't
at
just
that
stand
point.
here, right?
Right.
And look insane. So that's really what I did. And I had to really like push myself, like, okay, girl, it's time. Let's go. And having Y-Sham with me as well really just made it better. Because I always know I could look over to my right, or I usually like her on my left. They put her on the right. It's fine. But I know I could look over and she's right there. And I can't mess up because I have her.
Right.
So even if something happens, I stumble, I forget something, she's right there. She knows my songs just as well as I do. So I can't mess
Quick
up.
record skip, then you catch your place.
Right.
That is actually like that's a huge part of it. I think I've talked about this before. I saw one time a Busta Rhymes show. It was actually at the House of Blues, and he had moments where like I don't know if he ran out of breath or whatever, but he'd like throw the mic and his DJ just like does something like winds it back and then he like just picked the verse back up, and it was like became part of the show. And it's so important to be in tune like that, like with your DJ or your hype man. He had several people with him on stage, but it all became part of it. And I'm sure, and it's like obviously there's never a plan to have that like you missed your cue or like have something be slightly off. But in the case that it is, you got your DJ, the person who's going to catch it for you, or like someone else with you and they can fill in the bar. Like it's having that type performance. It's not just you either, you know? So that's awesome. You got your team, like you were saying. She's
incredible. Just when I met her, I knew that I wanted her to be my DJ, because I had just been kind of like, I had 2 DJs before I met Sham. And, you know, they just ended up not working out, you know, for different reasons, not anything like personal, like anything like bad. It's just, you know, sometimes things don't work out. So Sham is my 3rd DJ. But when I met her, I knew. I was like, it's going to be her. And when I asked her, I did not think that she would say yes, because she didn't know me that well by that point. But she did say yes. And we just started going from there. But she's funny. Like, there's this banter that we have, and I feel like sometimes people think that we're actually arguing on stage. But I'm like, no, it's part of the show. We love each other dearly. Yeah. But sometimes she'll say things like, she'll have like these ad libs. Like, I know that she's messing with me.
Really?
Like she's trying to make me laugh.
That's awesome. I love that.
So like, especially when we do Slip, she has like these wild like ad libs that have nothing to do with the song, like at all. And I think like, the first time she did it,
that's like
was
comedic
like,
genius, honestly.
Yeah.
Yo, honestly, like the first time she did it, we were doing a virtual show, and I just kind of went like almost like broke. I was like, forgot like what I was saying. So I was like, what did you say?
Wait, like what's an example? What did she say?
Like, okay, so the hook is like, almost made me slip. So she'll say stuff like, in a ditch.
Oh, yeah.
Or like, she'll be like, I think she said like on a chicken wing or something like that. And I was like, why would you do this to me?
That's awesome.
Shout
out DJ Y-Sham.
Yeah, shout out DJ Y-Sham.
We got to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, she
sounds funny.
Doesn't she produces as well, right?
She is like DJ Khaled. Like, honestly,
Oh,
she put out her first album last year. It was incredible. She just has a real gift for putting people together that are gonna sound good, that maybe you wouldn't think would be on a record together, and picking out the music and like everything. Like, she just has like a real gift for that. And the collaborations that she comes up with, like I said, are people that I personally would never put together or think that they would even know each other to do a record together. Like, she has that gift of like putting things together and just organizing everything together. I could never organize an album with the amount of people that she had on Finally, or when she did Finally Live, the show in September, like that amount of people on one show, I would have went insane. So I'm like, she really has a gift, because, you know, artists, we can we could be interesting to work with.
Tough to work with.
We're all really particular and really serious about our art, so that's a lot of different personalities and
Right.
different ways that people like to do things.
That's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
That's like being
Yeah.
a coach of a team. basically.
Right. It's
Like-
just like all these people with different talents and different ways that they like
Right.
to do things. And I think especially with solo artists,
It's like
we tend
managing-
not to play well with
Yeah.
other people because as a solo artist, you don't have to.
Right.
Like everything is you and this is exactly what I want. So she has like a real great way of like managing all of that so that people, you know, work well together. The show was incredible. She did an amazing job and went off without a hitch. And like I said, I never could have as an artist myself. Absolutely not. So I'm like, she's just amazing.
That is awesome. Kind of, the way you're describing that sort of makes me think, and I love analogies. I'm always thinking of like, so you're saying like there's like these solo artists that you wouldn't think would blend together. Sort of makes me think of like a painter or an artist with all these different mediums, like maybe like oil, watercolor, like all these different things, but figuring out a way to make that into a beautiful painting.
Yes.
And you wouldn't know that would all look look great together, you know,
Great
in the first place.
analogy. Great
Yes,
analogy.
it's a
That's like-
perfect analogy.
That's her talent. Yeah, and I mean that's like that you need people like that, and it's talent can go farther when it's combined with other talent like that, and it's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's really anyone out here that has brought together as many artists in the scene as Sham has, which I think is
I would
just
agree with that.
another incredible thing. Like, I don't know anyone else that's done that. And especially bring together that many female artists.
Mm.
It's a huge thing for the culture. I think, you know, that's another reason me and Sham really mesh well, because we have like really similar ideals and visions, especially for women in the industry and how hard it can be to be a woman. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's incredible to have like this project that's all women.
Yep.
And we all do different things, but we all came together and
I mean, who's really doing that? Putting out an album with all female MCs.
right. I know that they said Halle Berry has like the soundtrack for a movie that's coming out that's all female rappers, but I
Okay.
just want to put on the record that DJ Washam did it first.
So she copied, she copied DJ Washam. That's
DJ
what we're putting
Washam
on
did it
record.
first, period. But just like putting that many people together, but then also making an album that's cohesive
Right.
is even harder because we don't all do the same things. Even if we're all rappers, we have different styles.
Right.
We have different takes. So then, you know, this person does this type of rap, I do this, you know, then we have this singer, and then, you know, there's a poet, and then, you know, all these people together, like she just mixed all of it like
Right.
beautifully.
That
Big
is
shout
cool.
out. So, obviously, the Boston hip hop scene, New England hip hop scene in general, has been gradually, you know, starting to bubble the last few years. And as you've mentioned, leading, it almost seems like leading the charge is the female rappers. You've got
I think
yourself-
so.
Yeah, I think so too. Which for the female rap scene to be leading a city, you know, you got yourself, you got Cake Swag, you've got, you know, Oompa, you've got Dutch Rebel, you've got, we could go on.
Yeah. We really could sit here for like
we
20
could sit here
minutes.
for a long time. I'm not going to name all of them because I'm going to end up forgetting somebody. But what is it about this group of female rappers? You all seem to work together.
Yeah.
What is it that's allowed you to kind of make it to the forefront of the city?
I think it's the collaboration, but I think also on top of that, people have always said that Boston's weakness is that we don't have a uniform sound. Like when you hear
Yeah,
New York, you
I've
know
heard
it's
that.
New York.
I've heard that many times.
You hear the
before.
West Coast, you know it's the West Coast. You hear Atlanta, you know it's Atlanta. I always thought that was Boston's strong point. And I think that that's finally starting to come to fruition. Like, we don't have a uniform sound, but we have literally everything.
Yeah.
Every type of different type of rap that you could think of. There's
Right.
someone that does it, and not only just does it like on an elite level,
Right.
like a crazy level.
Right.
That's like, this person is undeniable. And I think when it comes to us as women, we don't sound alike. None of us do. Like I said, we can sit here for 20 minutes, name all the incredible female rappers out
Right.
here that are doing insane things, and not one of us will sound alike.
You're right. No, each one of you, when you come on, you know it's that person. Like,
Right.
when
You
hear
know
the-
their voice.
You
when
know
you hear
exactly
the beat,
who it is.
You
I'm
know
like,
it's
oh, that's
them.
Oompa. What song is this?
Right.
Oh, that's Brandie MF'n Blaze. I haven't heard this one before, but you know exactly the voice. You know it.
Exactly. And I think like that's our strong suit.
Right.
But also I think just building community. Like you said, we all really know each other. We work together. We do shows together. We build with each other. We hang out as friends.
That's what I
outside
love.
of
You
music.
guys seem to all have like a genuine friendship, which is
Yes,
great.
and I think just the love is there, and I think when you have that type of love, you want each other to win. So it's no jealousy. It's just like, my sister got this, a crazy opportunity. That's amazing for her, but not only is it amazing for her, she's gonna open that door up for someone else to come through behind her. She's not gonna just like, I got this opportunity, slam the door, screw y'all. Like, it's very much I'm in this position now, so guess what? I'm going to tell you about these other women that I know, these other people that I know that are doing things, and we really just kind of go up the ladder together. I think that's really the difference. It's very different from even when I started, 13, 14. I didn't really see anything like that with women. And then once we started to meet each other and get to know each other and start to, people were booking us together.
That's what it was. That's like when you started to see you and Oompa and Red Shades and all of you together. That's when it really, I feel like, took off.
Yeah, I think it
Because
made a huge
like,
difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're like, oh, this is just a whole team of dope female rappers. Like, how are you gonna stop this whole team? You know what I mean? When it's one, it's like, okay, this might be a flash in the pan, but you're like, oh no, they're coming with a whole squad. It's like,
Yeah, it's all of us, all of us.
Yeah, and I also feel like from the outside looking in, when you see a talented, tight-knit team of friends that's making things happen, you want to be a part of that. So, like, at any way, like, you're going to go to that show. You maybe will,
Right.
like, if you were thinking about making music, maybe you started making music. And, like, all these ideas of, like,
all of a
wow.
sudden you're like, wow, there's something happening here.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
we
a
want
sense
in
of
on
community.
this.
Yeah, and you want to be in on it. And that's something that is, we've said this a million times, is, like, Boston always had, like, had communities, but we're like bringing them in a way that I feel like the hip hop community hasn't seen before, is like coming together that way and building each other up. So
Absolutely. I definitely saw that when I was starting. Like, I would go over here and be like, this is the boom bap crowd.
yeah.
Then I go over here like, this is the trap crowd.
Right.
And then this is like the artsy crowd. And then I would just
They're
kind
starting
of...
to
Who was
mix
the
a little bit
coolest
more.
crowd?
Oh, man.
There is
Here
definitely
we go.
a
Now we're getting
coolest.
controversial.
Well, no.
Right?
I
It's
know
like, y'all
there's
want
a
me to say
coolest.
something spicy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say is definitely, I would say my top two favorite crowds is the boom bap crowd and the artsy crowd.
Okay.
Okay.
Which I know, based on the type of music I do, wouldn't seem like that, but they're lit. Okay, first off, the boom bap crowd out here they're no joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
seen them boo people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, you paid to get in here and like, we'll boo you. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they're brutal.
The
Like,
boom bap crowd is ruthless.
Yeah, we've seen
listen,
it,
if
yeah.
you cannot rap, they do not play. Like, they will like
They're
literally.
like, get this bullshit out of
Yeah.
here.
Really, like they will do like a mass, like everyone will be in front of the stage, and if someone trash comes on, you'll just see a mass
Yeah.
exodus of like people outside smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And you're like, where did everyone go? They're like, I don't want to listen to that.
And they're like,
Tell me
"Don't
when the
rap
next
over
person
your own
comes
See,
on.
I don't like that. Like, I don't know. I think you
It
gotta.
makes me sad because I'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna stay here and
Yeah.
support,
Yeah.
but I love the honesty of it.
Yeah.
Which is just like we are there. It could be a little pretentious sometimes because it's like the purist type of thing. I
Yeah.
don't really like
It's
that.
like if it doesn't sound like it's from the 90s, I don't want to hear
Right.
it. Like, okay.
But I do respect like the love for the bars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what it is.
That should never die. I agree.
And they are just like, when it comes to bars, like they don't care. Like, and I think when I started become embraced by them, because that's really who type of crowds I started with was like them. But
Yeah.
I do the type of music that I do, and they still
I
completely
mean,
embraced me.
your music kind of fits in with both of those crowds.
Yeah, but I was like, I also knew kind of what songs I should do with them.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and I'd be like, then I would try to slide in other ones. I'd be like, okay, come on, we could do something else too. We
That's
could get a
smart.
little lit too, But they really embraced me because I think it was just like, she could rap. We enjoy that. Like, okay, cool. Like, and so I always love the boom bap crowd out here. Like, they're brutal though. So I'm glad that they were cool with me. I'm like, I'm cool with y'all. Y'all cool with me. Great.
The boom bap
The-
crowd
the-
is very judgmental.
The artsy crowd though is super lit. Like, they just the creativeness. Like, they're
Yeah.
just those types of. They don't just think of records. They think of the entire vision of it. Like, what does this look like? not just musically, but like visually, what does this look like? And I
some
think I
Kanye
learned,
type shit.
yes, and I learned a lot from them. You know, especially being on my third album now, all 3 of my albums are concept albums. And I think that's really something that I learned from that crowd of, it's not just, here's a collection of songs, here you go. It's always more of, what's the story of this album? If you listen to all these songs in order, what do you get out of that? Right. What does it look like? What does it make you feel like? Why is this like important that you listen to it this way? I think that's really something that I picked up from that crowd as well.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And like from a marketing perspective, it gives it like value in 2 places. Like when you put out an album of random songs, you're hoping that someone just likes one of the songs, and for no particular reason, maybe all of them. But if it's something that goes together coherently to tell a story, I mean, that's sort of like what Marvel did with all their movies and stuff, but it's like you tied all these things together to tell a story, and there's a reason to watch all of it. Maybe your favorite song is the 3rd one, but like you have to hear them all to even hear the story. So that gives it, I mean, just from like, it gives it value from like more than one perspective, I guess. And
really, I think it's kind of more of like the replay value of it as well. Like I love when people have favorite songs. They're like, this is, because people make it very known to me, so I know. There's songs that I cannot do shows and not perform. Right. Because then people are going to
came to see that song.
Right, and people are going to make mad at me, try to cuss me out after the show. I'm not having that. So I know what songs I have to do. But I think kind of just it's not just one song for me though. Like usually I'll pick a single, but to me there really isn't a single. It's the body of work. I always consider myself like an album artist, as opposed to like a singles artist. That's why I never really dropped a lot of Lucy's like that. I'll do it every now and then, but you'll never really get like a lot of those from me, because that's not really what it's about for me. It's about the body of work and the story that I want to tell. So I want you to get it all in full.
So that kind of goes, I don't want to say against, but it's not, you know, nowadays it's a very single-driven market.
Yeah, that's definitely me being an old head, but I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. No, I respect that. You got to do what you do. Yeah, you got to do what you do.
Drop albums as often as others are dropping singles.
Right. I'm trying to step my game up. Like, I think this is the closest I've ever dropped albums. So it's 2 years from Late Bloomer that I'm dropping Broken Rainbows. So this is the fastest it's ever been. I usually work on albums for like 2 to 3 years.
And you've dropped 1 single from the album, right?
That's actually not on the album.
It's not on the album?
No.
No way. Okay. I figured it was. My bad.
It is not.
All right.
So that's a Lucy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think that it sets you up for the album.
Okay. So it's like a little teaser.
Yeah. I think like the things that are expressed on that song very much coincide with what you're going to hear on the album. And so honestly, on the album, it would make sense. I might throw it on there as a bonus. I haven't really decided yet, but it's not like really a part of the story and the narrative of the album.
Interesting. Okay. So can we expect any singles before the album, or is it just all?
No, it's just everything all at once. December 17th.
I like that. Yeah. That's different nowadays. You don't get that.
Yeah, and I've never done it like this.
Okay.
So totally not freaking out, but I think that when the album is going to be coming out in 2 parts. So there's the actual album itself, but then there's another part to the album that's a secret. So I think when you get to part 2 of the album, it will make sense why there were no singles.
Is it a video?
Interesting.
Is it a movie? Is it?
I was gonna try to guess everything.
I know.
This is what he does.
Is it a short movie? And there's gonna be something. You play the album alongside the movie, like
it's going to be something like that, but not exactly that.
Oh damn!
I don't think you'll guess what it is, but it is a visual component that's gonna come out. That's the part 2.
That's coming out when?
In January.
January? Okay.
What is it called? What is part 2 called?
It's still called Broken Rainbows. So
okay, just part 2. Gotcha.
So part 1 is the album. Part 2 is the next part that'll come out in January. And then, like I said, I feel like when people get the whole experience of Broken Rainbows all together, then, like I said, it will make sense why I chose not to release any singles, because I've really, especially with this album, really strongly feel like this is a complete body of work. It's a complete art project for me. So it's like I thought about dropping a single, But then it was just like, it didn't make sense to me. So that's why I put out, they're calling me Blaze, so that, there is something. I have to drop something, right? But also, I was like, it just was something that I wrote that meant a lot to me. And I was like, that's going to lead you up to here. So I would say, think of like calling me Blaze as like the prequel.
Okay.
All right. Great video, too.
Thank you.
We're so jealous.
Aside from the fact that we weren't in the intro.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, if I had everybody that I wanted to, that would have been the movie.
Yeah.
Would just be like all my favorite radio hosts, podcast hosts, because I feel like people don't give you guys y'all's flowers and the love that you guys deserve, because there's no music scene without people like you guys here that's like, giving us, letting us on y'all's platform that you built, promoting us. It's a huge deal, and it's a big thing for us to have these platforms that we can go to in our home state, with people that know us and support us and understand what we're trying to do. So I just want to make sure, like, you guys get your flowers, because it's so well deserved. And like I said, it's the whole community of you guys that do this out of the love, really.
Absolutely. Shout out to all the other podcasts out there too. There's a lot of dope ones right now.
Have you guys ever done like any collaborations?
We haven't. We should. We
want to be a guest on someone's podcast so bad. And I just
love,
really quickly want to say, if anyone out there wants to give us flowers, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like Boston's Big Four Music, and Boston's Big Podcast on Instagram and whatnot.
Yes.
Do your thing.
Those are the best.
I would love to see you guys with like It's Lit Boston.
I love It's Lit. I love
Charlie Machine's
I love
podcast.
Charlie Machine.
Yes, I think like those would be like some dope
Charlie
collabs
Machine,
for y'all.
CWTFB is like top of the line right now for me.
Yeah.
That's who I looked to them for a lot of inspiration, honestly.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
They are.
And just like everyone out here, like, I'm so glad that that's a category at the Boston Music Awards now.
Yes,
is that
I
podcast
agree.
radio host, because like I said, it's so important. And I think we've been able to get up on the national scene and have, get coverage from like NPR and like the Grammys and stuff like that because of you guys.
With the local outlets.
Because you guys put in the work to build up your audiences. People respect y'all and hear what you want to hear, want to hear what you guys have to say. But then you share those platforms with us and promote us. And like, honestly, I always think of podcasters and of radio hosts like we're all in the same music scene. I never think of music scene as just like us as artists. It's the podcasters, the radio hosts, it's the journalists that support us as well. It's all of us that are really pushing the scene. And that's why I always felt like if one of us wins, we all win. That's it.
Absolutely. That's the mentality we're trying to have, and then we're trying to push on people. Like, it doesn't have to be a competition.
No, not at all. Because it's like you guys, everyone does totally different things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. We've had a few people say, they're like, oh yeah, everyone's part of the journey. Like, when I make it, you're coming up too. And I'm holding them to it. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if you get famous, we want to pass. We want to, whatever it is.
Listen, y'all have known me the longest, so you could definitely put me on that list of people.
There we go.
Holding you
to
it.
No, we're super grateful, like, for all the artists, yourself included, that have taken the time to come here and talk to us, because
we are. It's been fun. First off,
it started off just because we love to talk about music. Like, that's all it was.
Yeah.
We weren't like, oh, we got to get all these big artists on. We were like, let's just shoot the shit.
Well, we didn't have guests at first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't have guests at first. We were like, let's just talk about what's going on in the scene, because we like it. We enjoy the music. We enjoy what's going on. I think C4 was the first guest we got where I was like, all right, like, this kid's really doing things right now. I'm like, if we can get him on, like, let's just keep going. And then we just took off from there.
That's super insulting to the guests that we had on before C4. But C4 is a big deal. That's all.
Yeah, he is. I love
C4.
C4.
I mean, no, but C4, it was the first time we got a guest. Like, most of the guests,
he has like buzz.
Most of the guests we had got before him were through connections we had.
Yeah.
Were through people that we knew, like, oh, a friend of a friend or whatever, and they're all super dope and talented. But C4 was someone we got. We didn't really like have any connections with him. We just reached out to him, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I fuck with what you guys are doing, and that was, I don't know. We've been on a run since then, but yours has been long overdue. We've been talking about this for a long time.
I don't know how it's been like so long. Like,
yeah, we're also admittedly probably not the best at booking as fast as we should, because we've had other people.
We're still learning.
Yeah.
still
Oh,
learning.
yeah. It's all a learning process. And we've had other people come on. They're like, yeah, I was waiting for this call. I was wondering when this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is.
But I'm
what
always surprised when people say that. I'm like, really? You were waiting? I was like, we were waiting for you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I saw you guys at the Smoke Bolja event.
Yeah. Exactly,
Oh,
yes.
That was fun.
It was perfect timing.
It was. Yeah,
Yeah, we're trying to orchestrate a Smoke Bulger podcast. That would be fun.
we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
I'm a, put good wishes and good intentions in
good
the
juju
air.
into the
He
air.
seems like such a nice person.
He does.
Yeah,
No,
well, that
we
event
talked
was
to him
great.
at that event. And he
Yeah,
was super
I talked to
nice.
him as well. He followed me on Instagram. I said, "Oh, now I have made it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
y'all can tell
Yeah.
me nothing."
No, he's super humble.
Because I
actually.
remember when he had the video on BET Uncut. That was a long time ago. He had a video on BET Uncut. You would wait up till like 3 a.m. when they showed all the uncut nasty videos. And I remember
drill.
like, yes. But I remember seeing him on there, and he had the video, and the video was shot on the Zachem Bridge, and I was like,
Fire.
he's just always
pretty
put
dope.
on for Boston.
That's what I loved. My favorite thing he said at that event we went to was like, someone asked the best advice and the worst advice he's ever gotten, and he said the worst advice he ever got was to act like he's from somewhere else.
Right.
He's like, drop the whole Boston thing or whatever. He was like, I will never do that. And now he signed to Rick Ross.
But what's
and he
even
never
the
had to
point?
do
I don't
that.
understand where people are coming from. Like, and even
Because
if their
Boston
logic
artists,
is like Boston's not
historically-
hot, hop onto a place that is hot, and then you're just like bandwagoning. I'm like, just make
Yeah.
this area hot.
It's
Why,
like, no,
why
this
is it
is
a big
where
deal?
I'm from. Like, I can't just pretend.
Right, and I
Yeah.
feel like I think people know that like Bostonians are weirdly territorial, like overly territorial. So I can't really see a Bostonian pretending to be from somewhere else,
Absolutely not.
because we will be like, you can't even say you're from Boston if you're not from Boston, like
Yeah.
for real.
I even
Yeah.
hear people say this
Like-
between Cambridge and Boston, like, which I totally blur that line. And
No,
people are
Cambridge
very
is not
specific-
Boston. Cambridge
It
is
is.
not Boston.
It is.
No, it's not.
Millie's
No.
is not from Boston, and he will
He's
tell you that.
right. It's like
I-
he'll tell you he
yeah.
is very proudly
totally
from Cambridge,
understand
which
that
I
there
support
is a
him saying
difference,
that.
but
It's the
yeah.
same thing with Joyner Lucas. Joyner Lucas is like, I'm very proudly from Worcester.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not from Boston, so I think like we respect that. And you know, like I said, Bostonians are so very weirdly territorial about shit like that, because we will
They
really
are.
be
I always
like,
see the post.
Just
if
saw.
I
I
ask
always
you
see
where
the
you're
posts
from
that are like,
Boston,
yeah.
and you're like,
Hang
I'm
on.
from Franklin, you're like,
yeah.
what?
I always see posts like that. It's like, if you're from Quincy, you're not from Boston. It's
If
like,
you have your own town, city hall,
if the
that is your town.
if the police cars in your town don't say Boston Police on the
Yeah.
side,
then you're not from Boston.
That's true.
It's like, if you
true.
need something and you don't go to Boston City Hall, you do not live in Boston.
That's valid.
Very
That's
interesting.
valid.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
why I always say I'm from the South Shore. I never claim to be from Boston,
Yeah.
Boston area, but
But I'd be like, you know, Massachusetts all day. You know,
Yeah.
I love being from Boston. I love being from Massachusetts. Like, that's why
It's
I
a
really
unique
respect
place.
that. Yeah, it's a unique place. It's a wonderful, awful, beautiful place.
yeah.
Like, there's no place like it in the entire universe. And, you know, like Smoke, I would never pretend to be from somewhere I'm not. Yes, you know, I lived down south for a year. With my accent, people would ask me if I was from New York all the time, because they're just like, and I'll be like, no, I'm from Boston. And then they're just like, oh, there's black people in Boston? And you're like,
Wow.
I'm
Oh,
literally
man.
talking to you. What are you
Literally,
talking
there's black people from
about? What did I just say?
No, it's true though, because people, unfortunately, because of like the movies and stuff, I feel like
yeah.
everybody thinks it's just like
Southie
white
and, like,
dudes from
Charlestown.
Southie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Well,
yeah.
I remember somebody pointed this out to me. It was like an old like boss of mine on like a landscaping job. He said it's like super interesting how Massachusetts, as diverse as it is, like when you look at the numbers, is so segregated in that you can drive 10 minutes and there's like an all white community, and then drive 10 more minutes there's all Asians,
Yep.
and then 10 more minutes it's like somebody else, you know, and there's like, and of course there's also, we're scattered everywhere, like it is what it is, but Boston has historically been that way, like, and like that has been part
Yeah.
of just like all the communities, not, you know,
But
you get caught
the
in your
black part
things,
of
yeah.
Boston has not been publicized as much, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like in
Yeah.
movies and whatnot.
Like, there's movies about black people in Boston, like Blue Hill Ave.
yeah.
And I think there's like one or two other ones that came out in the 90s. I'm not going to say the names because then I get them confused with other movies. But
yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kerry Washington was in a movie that was about black people in Boston.
Okay.
I think she was like a shoplifter or something. This was, I don't know. may have made that up. I don't think I did, but
Google it. Somebody
like
Google
there's
it.
been
Yeah.
movies about black people in Boston, but I think that they've always been like more underground movies.
Right. Then you got the
like the
Departed
hood
in the
movies,
town,
and then
it's
but then you have like the big ones,
Right.
and then if all you know about Boston is like the town in The Departed, you think Boston is South Boston and Charlestown, and then
Right.
there's literally like
this is
nothing
what,
else.
This is what Dart Adams talks about all the time. Like
Yeah.
that's his big thing, is like trying to shed light on Black Boston, because it gets overlooked so much. Like in history, it just doesn't get talked about at all.
Yeah, which I'm like, to me, it's insane. I'm a third generation Bostonian.
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's wild that people don't even know that we have like big black communities in Boston.
And Latino communities,
And,
Asian
yeah.
communities, like literally everywhere, like have some of the biggest Caribbean populations, like behind like New York.
Yeah,
Just like insane, like how diverse Boston is. And I think like that's another good thing about hip hop becoming like Boston transitioning from being like known as like a rock town or like a R&B and pop town, with like New Edition and New Kids on the Block, to now like transition into
Right.
being
All of a
a
sudden
hip hop
yeah,
town, because it's like what brings more people together than hip hop?
right.
Everybody listens to rap. Doesn't matter what your race is,
Right.
where you're from. Everybody listens to rap. I mean, there's like those weird people that be like, it's trash, it's noise. I'd be like, okay. I'd be like, you just haven't
They're a
found any
dying
rap
breed.
that you like.
It's funny.
But there's rap. There's gonna
Yeah.
be a rap that you enjoy. You just haven't found it yet.
That
Exactly.
totally was me when in my younger years. Like I was a rock and roll guy, and I was like, I don't know, I like instruments, and then I started like really listening to it, and I was like, I enjoy this for many different reasons, and there are instruments, you just don't know what you're talking about.
because
when
I think
first,
if you
like-
listen to top 40, you think that all rap sounds like that.
yeah,
So if you turn on to, top 40, a pop station, and you hear like only these 6-7 rap songs that are like the biggest rap songs in the country, you think that all rap
Rap
sounds
has
that.
more subgenres than any other genre.
Oh,
at
it's
this point.
crazy!
It's
Like
there's
how many
so many different
subgenres?
styles of rap. It's like, if you don't like this one, I guarantee I'll find.
There's gonna be
I'll
something
find
that
you
you
something
like.
that you like. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Like even if you like fiddles, there's gonna be like a country western rapper
There will
somewhere.
be. So we had Zakia on last night, who's a
Hip opera, yeah.
She does opera and rap. Like she mixes it
Yeah,
together.
it's like
That was
there's
so cool,
everything,
yeah.
everything. Like I'm actually working on a play right now. Myself and Tayshawn Taylor. Shout out
Tayshawn Taylor.
Shouts.
We're the leads in the play, so we've been writing that. It's all rap music. But the play is set in the 1700s.
Okay. Wow.
But it's just like modern music and modern themes.
Yeah.
But kind of like
So
in
like
that
Hamilton,
setting.
Hamilton kind of
I
inspired.
think it's gonna be better.
yeah. No, I believe it.
I believe it. I believe it.
That is interesting. So it's like modern concepts and modern music, but like old style.
Yes.
That is so interesting. It's like when you see something from a different lens, but it's the same story. And like when you realize it's the same story, like it's one of those kind of, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but that's like, did you remember, Jack, we were in high school, somebody came in and they did a Macbeth, but they were soldiers like in fatigues, like as
I
if
do
like from
remember
the
that.
war.
Yes.
So they had like guns instead of swords. And it was like the same play, but they were doing it as modern soldiers. And I remember like, just it was the same story, and I was like, wow, I'm totally seeing this differently, and that had to have been the purpose. And it's just like that's so cool. It's
So
just cool
yeah,
to do,
it's very much like that's really the premise of using like setting it so long ago, but then using like modern music and modern language, because it's just like as much as things change, so many things still stay the same. So many of the issues that we've had like in this country since the inception of it are still
exist,
issues
yeah.
that we have today that still affect us today. It's just different, but it's the same fucking problem.
Yep.
So I think that's really what makes it so special, and so I'm really excited about that. Also, just trying to diversify and do different things.
Definitely. Wait, so I'm sorry. This is like a play type situation?
Yes, so it's a musical. So we're writing it now. Shout out to Todd from Platforms Music. He received the lab grant from the Boston Foundation to help fund this. Okay. So we are in the writing process right now. Just writing all the music. And
Are you doing auditions and stuff?
not yet, but we will be.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to get some acting credits in. So
Owen does it all.
I want to do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I want acting credits, guys. If I need credits to get this, I need credits now. Get me something. I'll do whatever your
It's like I gotta
is.
get something on my resume now,
Yeah.
right?
Owen is a jack of all trades. He'll try everything.
I'll try it. Yeah,
He'll try
it, whatever it is.
everything.
But yeah, that'd be so fun.
You should definitely hit up was it Don Hazel? He shoots the movies in Boston. He does like all the hood movies.
Okay, I
There
definitely.
you go.
See, there's a connect right there. The scene knowing everybody.
Yeah. Because we had Connor Hallway on, who did the Golden Deer movie, Apple Cinema.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of Boston music, and he's working on his next project. Connor, if you're watching, I would love to get a credit on your movie. That'd be the coolest thing ever. Not a credit. I'm using the wrong term. I mean like a role or whatever.
Yeah.
But you get credits once you've had the role.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go.
But yeah, it would. That'd be fun. It'd just be fun to be in stuff. I don't expect to be the star. Throw me in the background. I'll read the newspaper in the diner. That's all I like to do. Yeah.
Dan Hall when he had that he
Yeah.
did the drum roll in that movie.
Super fun.
It's like, when you were a kid and you were in the play, but they're like, you can be a tree. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, this is awesome.
And
It's
hey,
so
don't
easy.
get me wrong. If I get a line or two, I'll do it.
I'll do
But
it.
I'm just not trying to overstep, That's-
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exciting though. So I'm sorry, I sort of was like hearing that as music at first, but you're writing really like a whole play now. This is like part of the storytelling. So this obviously comes into play with how you've been telling your albums. You're really bigger on telling stories. So what has that writing process been like? And all the songs are originals?
Yeah, everything is original. We've been working from producers that are from here. So everything is very much Massachusetts. Everyone, people that are in the play, people that are producing the music has very much been, everyone's based here, which I think is a beautiful thing as well. It's been a lot of fun because I love Tayshawn. He's just fun. We always have a good time, but it's been really challenging as well to think about. I think when I write music, the story is much more abstract. So it's not very much now I'm like trying to write conversations like as bars.
Right.
To like progress the story along so people know like what's happening. Like, oh, we're doing this now and this is what's happening and this is a conversation I'm having with this person or that person. And I think that's been
it's like
the
making
most
a storytelling song.
Yes, and I've never really have done that.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, been like much more of an abstract, not so much a storyteller rapper. So this is like my first time really doing that. It's been super challenging. Just to be like, you want it to sound good.
Right.
And I think I'm someone that's very much like punchline.
Yeah.
So you can't really do that.
And there has to be like some dialogue, I imagine. in
Yeah.
the
Right,
song.
Storytelling rap is a whole different.
And like
Is it
salute
all
to the
music,
people.
or are there
Yes,
breaks?
it's all music.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it is sort of like the
Yes,
Hamilton
so
style.
that's why I'm like salute to people that do storytelling rap because I'm like, how?
Right.
Like, so it's like me.
C4, who I mentioned before, he told us about that song Petals and like the whole story behind it.
Oh yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
that
so
stuff is impressive. That always impresses
It's
me.
hard. I feel like I'm almost like learning how to rap again.
Right.
Because this is just like something that's different, but I'm really excited about it. And I think, working on Broken Rainbows as well has really kind of set me up to where I could do this. Because I did Broken Rainbows really different from like Late Bloomer and things like that. So I think that kind of put me in a position where I could do this. But yeah, it definitely feels like almost like learning how to rap all over.
So how is
gotta be
Broken
exciting.
Rainbows different from Late Bloomer?
So Broken Rainbows. So pause. Late Bloomer. The whole album was based off this voicemail I got from this guy.
Late Bloomer was?
Yeah. The
whole album was off of one voicemail.
Yeah.
Really?
Is that voicemail sampled anywhere on the album?
I was going to, right?
Is that illegal?
Probably. So
Without the consent, yeah, it might be.
we were going to just use the voicemail as an interlude.
Yeah.
But then, thank God for Amanda Shea, honestly. So me and her were talking about it, and she was just like, I don't think that's a good idea because, you get $2 and he hears about it. It's going to be a problem. Because the voicemail was him. He was cussing me out. He was really mad at me because this is a guy I kind of casually dated, like nothing serious, but he had heard one of my songs, assumed it was about him, and was pissed.
Sensitive.
Right, but the crazy part is that the song wasn't about him.
That's why.
I wrote the song before
so
I met
vain,
him.
you're so vain.
Yeah, literally, like, you probably think the song's about you. It's like, but I wrote the song before I met him. So the song had nothing to do with him. And the voicemail is him just cussing me out for as long as, voicemails run for. And it was funny. Like, I thought it was hilarious.
Don't they go for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So yeah, no. So I don't know how that message was at least 4 minutes of him just taking me to task. He cussed me up and down and around. So I said, okay, so you thought that song was about you? Yes, he does. And I was like, okay, well, see, can't mess with you no more because you're insane.
Yeah, like,
so I said,
about you.
you thought this one song was about you? Guess what I'm about to do?
I love that.
So when we were talking about using the voicemail itself, because like I said, the whole concept was based on that voicemail, Amanda was like, I don't think that we should do that, because it blows
That's
up,
smart,
he sues you, like, and then you're going to have to pay this man, and then you really going to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so then we got Mr. PSA to do the interludes. And we shot like the short film that went before the album that I had like dropped kind of like in pieces. So it was literally just based on that voicemail of him like, I heard the song and now I am mad.
Wow.
Like, and it really kind of brought myself through what I would have said to him in response.
Okay.
And probably how I would have handled it. So we started with that, acting out that voicemail, but then it progressed into, this is how I would have handled it. This is what the things that I would have said that I think that he needed to hear about me and about my music and my journey. And, because I didn't have those conversations with him because I was like, you're insane, I'm blocking you.
Right. No sense in even talking to someone like that.
Right. But you ever get that feeling where it's just like someone does you so dirty and you're just like, it's just sitting on your chest and you're like, you deserve to get cussed out and told about yourself and hear all my emotions, but I just didn't want to give him that satisfaction. So I just created the whole album based on that. So that was Late Bloomer. Broken Rainbows is really different for me because it's about a fictional person.
Okay. So
So the songs are still like my experiences and things that I've been through, but it's kind of like transposed onto the story of this woman. So, not to give too much away, but the story of Broken Rainbows is about a woman that's in a long-term relationship where you think that everything is very good because to you, you're like, you don't know any better. You think that this is the best thing in the world. But on the outside, this is a person that's very hurtful and demeaning and abusive. So to you, you think this is normal. You think that this is great because you're just like, I'm in love. But it's like, they're not the person. They're very destructive. So it's just kind of like, what do you go through to free yourself from that situation? So these are experiences that I've had, but Broken Rainbows isn't really based on my life the way that Late Bloomer was. It's just like these experiences and these things that I've been through, I kind of transposed it into this story of this woman.
Okay.
Interesting. And it is kind of nice to have that barrier of the fictional character where they can be true stories, but it, at least for the viewer, like things can be left up to interpretation.
It
like
leaves
how much
some
of
leeway
this...
for you to kind of
Absolutely.
just...
Yeah, that's...
And I think kind of when you get to the end of it, it's very much kind of like very cathartic. Like maybe this is what I wish I could have done to end the situations that I was in. But, maybe I didn't want to go to, but it's like maybe I didn't want to go to prison or, maybe I just did not have that inner strength at that time. So it's very much like this woman goes through hell and back, but discovers herself and is able to free herself from that. And what does that look like?
That's awesome. That's powerful. So
Broken Rainbow. That makes me sad.
Yeah. It's there are some parts of it that are really, really sad.
Yeah.
And I think that, I started to lean into that on Late Bloomer where I started to be more personal. I always look at Late Bloomer as really me and everything. I'm not like a fictional rapper. Like I rap about driving a Nissan and stuff. Well, I drive a Honda now, but I've never been that person to be like, right? I've never been that person to be like, I got a a Mercedes Benz. I know, no.
And you rent it for a day for your video.
Right. Which like nothing wrong with that.
No.
I'm with it, but like, you know, when the actual bars come out, I just never been that type. It's very, very real for me. But I always felt like Spinster, my first album, was very surface level.
Spinster, that was your first album. That
Yes.
came out what year?
2016.
2016, and that was just on SoundCloud?
It was on SoundCloud for the first 6 months, and then it was on streaming.
Okay.
And that was it's an album, I still love that album, but it was very surface level. It wasn't really anything that was too deep. To me personally, and I think I'm still just kind of discovering my voice and what I can, and like literally and like metaphorically. So like literally like still figuring out the tone of my voice and the different things I could do with it. But then also just like the metaphorical sense of like finding myself as a rapper. So I think that that's like a really good time capsule of me trying to figure that out. But I think by the time I got to Late Bloomer, I was ready to be more open and more honest about the things that I've been through. And, you know, when I did like Fraud on Late Bloomer, I didn't want to put it out because I thought it was too much. And I was like, I feel like this is too personal. And I played it for a couple people and they were like, you have to keep that one on the album.
Yeah.
And I did. And I'm glad that I did because I have gotten a lot of messages from people reaching out to me about that record in particular. So I think with this one, it's like I still feel like comfortable being that open because these songs are all me. They're all based on things that I have been through at different points in my life. But it also still kind of gives me that barrier of like, this isn't 100%, you know, linear narrative of my life. This isn't like one specific relationship or one specific instance. This is like really just like picking different parts of my life and putting them together like in this fictional story.
Interesting. I like that.
Fun. What is your favorite part of the creation process? Because it sounds like it's not just the writing anymore. You know, like you're choreographing now for the music videos and this musical. Like, just what is your favorite part of the creation?
I think my favorite part now, it didn't used to be, is picking beats.
Picking beats.
Yeah, it never used to be. It used to be the absolute bane of my existence. I hated it. Just because I feel like when I started out, you know, I'm a female rapper. So I feel like people, when I would meet producers and talk to them, they would have this image of like a female rapper in their head. Okay. And they would send me records that they thought a female rapper would want to be on. And I would just be like, no, like, I don't really want anything like flowery or like, I don't know. Like,
So what were the beats like that they were sending you?
It was very...
Because I'm trying to think, like, what is a female rapper beat? I don't even really know.
I'm guessing they were, like, bubbly kind of songs.
Yeah, it was, like, very, like, bubbly, like very,
rap.
Right, yeah, which I love pop rap to listen to.
Yeah.
I love pop rap. But I don't think I really necessarily do that. I do have some records that can go in that direction, but that's not really what I like to do, right? Yeah. So it was very, like I said, like, flowery and bubbly and upbeat and it wasn't records that I thought, like, yo, I could put my hardest bars on here.
Right.
And it's going to sound correct. So I think now that when people approach me wanting to produce for me, they already know me.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, not to sound cocky, but like, it is what it is, right? So now when people send me beats, I think it's because they now know who I am, and or they at least went and listened to Late Bloomer,
right?
Before they reached out to me and like, hey, I want to send you beats.
As they should.
Yeah. Which I'm like, you know, you have to. I feel like you have to know the person that you're
Why
sending
are you sending
beats
someone
for?
a beat to if you don't even know their sound?
And I'm so glad you mentioned this before. Like you said, the writing is not surface level like some of the things in the past. Like you were saying, you wrote it authentically about yourself, which bleeds into the other aspects of it where you don't just want a hard beat. You want a beat that's yours, you know, a beat that fits what you're actually saying. And it's important that other people who have heard what you're trying to get across and now the work that you've been putting out, they understand that. So the next work, I'm looking forward to it because now you're going to find that synchronization with even beyond like what you've already done. And it will for sure come even, there's going to be so much more. That's all I have to say.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. I'm really happy like of where I am, like especially creative wise, like being able to work with producers that really get me And, you know, not just sending out like a blind like beat pack that's like you sent this to like 45 people, which like nothing wrong with that. You gotta get your hustle on. I get it.
Of course, yeah.
But it would be really hard to go through all those beat packs. And the crazy thing is like someone could be really talented, but if you don't know the person that you're sending it to, you could have sent them all the wrong beats. You could have had something in the stash that if you had listened to maybe at least 2 or 3 of their songs, you would have been like, this beat goes to this person. And I think for Broken Rainbows, I really, really lucked out with like all the incredible producers that worked on this album with me, because when they sent me beat packs, it was like on point. Like,
who were some of the producers?
Hum Beats.
Shout out Hum Beats.
Love Hum Beats.
He keeps coming up.
Yeah, I love Hum Beats.
He's incredible.
You were on his album.
I was.
Last
yes,
December.
yes. So he has 2 songs on my album. Rilla Force also has 2 songs. OG Collective. Peter Perfect. Extramentals, which is another one of my favorite producers. I know I'm forgetting some people, but I think collectively I got producers that really knew me beforehand. Or even with like Peter Perfect, I met him when I did the Beat Club podcast, and he was one of the producers that submitted. So I said, oh my God, he's incredible. I said, send me some beats. But I also kind of had told him, I said, listen, I want beats that you would send like the hardest male rapper you know. Those are the beats I want. And he definitely,
I like that.
He delivered in a way that was very different. Like, that's not exactly what he sent me, but I feel like he still understood the assignment. It was like, these are records that I know what you want, but these might be a little bit different than what you would normally do. But I listened to your voice and I heard you, and I think that these are records that would fit you. And he was right. So, you know, it's like the same thing with like Rilla. He did Drown on Late Bloomer. So he really understood me, and he really gets me. Same thing, you know, OG Collective, this is our first time working together, but they really got me as well, you know. And Hum Beats is just, he's a monster.
He is. He really is.
Absolute monster. And Extramentals as well. I love Extramentals because I could tell him, I could give him a sentence, and I'd be like, this is what I want this beat to sound like.
A sentence?
Yeah.
A sentence?
So he did Slip, and I told him, I think like what I told him was like, I want a song that sounds like Fuck My Ex. And he was like, and he gave me a song that sounded like that.
Wow.
So
that's talent right there.
Yo, so for
what's the funniest thing you have said to get a beat like that?
With
like
Extramentals?
For the sentence.
Yeah, okay, so it's for Broken Rainbows, and this is really explicit, I don't care. But I said I want a record that sounds like I'm about to fuck your brains out.
Okay.
And he delivered.
Wow.
Delivered.
This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And he's the only producer I know that I could do that. And just be like random prompts. And be like, I want a beat that sounds like I'm rapping in the rain on a beach with like a pina colada. And he could do that. And it will sound exactly like that.
Wow.
I feel like this is something that like Knox would love too. If you just gave him like a scene. And are you familiar? You must know
Of
Knox.
course.
Yeah. And I love producers like that, like where someone you just give them that like abstract. We were saying it like the Kanye thing, like just an idea that becomes more than just like the music, and then someone's like, all right, that's what's happening when I play this music. People are gonna get transported to this. What you wanted. That's the concept. It's interesting how that works. That's like a superpower, I think, to be able to really do that.
He's incredible. I'm just like and like honestly, he's also one of the hardest rappers like one of the best spitters, one of the best freestyles I've ever heard in my life. Like, he is a monster. So I'm really lucky that I got to meet him and, you know, work with him before Broken Rainbows and then work with him on this, because I can be annoying, which I know I can be because, like I said, I do weird things like, this is what I want it to sound like. This makes no sense, but
I think if you're not annoying as an artist, you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
You know?
Like, and I feel like I'm at least really open.
Right.
When producers approach me to work with me, I'm just really, really open about that fact.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can be difficult.
Yeah.
Not because I mean to be, or not because I'm an asshole.
Because you want to get the best product out.
But I also hate everything. I hate everything.
That's
so
important.
What do you mean you hate everything?
like
gotta be
I
particular.
think I'm really, really particular. So that's why I was really excited about Broken Rainbows, because I think this is the first time in my life where I would get a beat pack and I would at least like one song. Normally it's like I hate 99%.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with their talent, because we're talking about people that are incredibly talented, amazing beats. I would hear beats and I would tell them, I can't hear myself on this, but you know who I could? This rapper right here. And I'd be like, yo, I'm going to connect you with them because I heard your song and I heard them. So it wasn't their talent or anything. I'm just like supremely picky.
Right. That's a good way to be, though.
Yeah, you don't want to just have like any old beat that like maybe afterwards
You
you're
can
like,
never,
hey, I
like,
probably didn't need that.
I feel like as an artist,
Right.
you can never just like go with the flow. You gotta just be giving your
No.
input at every second. Like, you
I
know,
think
at
that's
every
why
turn.
features are also hard for me. It's hard to get a feature from me sometimes
Yeah.
because of that. And I'll
That
be
makes
like,
sense.
it's not that the record's bad at all, but it's just like, no.
If you could get a feature from any New England artist that you haven't worked with yet, who would it be?
Oh my God.
It's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
Jack with the Stumpers.
Oh my goodness. I definitely would love to do a record with Millie's.
Millie's, there you
So
go.
funny. That's what I thought you were gonna say. I don't
Really?
know why. Yeah,
I did not
right,
expect that, honestly.
popped in my
I
head
did
right
not
away.
expect
My
I
psychic.
think that me and Millie's would do a crazy record.
that. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I think so. Millie's.
I know.
Do you
It's
watch
like,
this?
someone help
Here we
me.
go.
Plug me in. And I've actually never met him either. I shouted him out on Model, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I said, what did I say? Dressed in Blanco on Millie's.
There we
Oh,
go.
man.
You gotta just send him a clip of
I
that
know. I
bar.
thought of that. I was like, you should just cut this one
Yeah,
part
and
on
just send that
Instagram and
to
just
him.
send it. Like, I love you, though. And I do. I genuinely, like, love his music. I think that he's just, like, an
Yeah.
incredible rapper and just, like, also, like, you plugged in with Jada Kiss? Like,
Right.
one of the GOATs? Like,
Exactly.
you have to go hard.
Yeah. He's
Millie's
on
has
a
been going
roll.
hard. He's been like,
Yo, he's
Every
been putting
day.
out some
Every day.
fire records.
it's like every year he drops a fire album. Like every
Yeah.
year.
Like, the
It's
consistency
insane.
is, like,
The
insane.
consistency in videos, like every time you go on Instagram, he's dropping a new video.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
nuts.
He's out somewhere. He's
Yeah.
traveling. He's somewhere.
He was
like,
at Benny the Butcher's birthday party yesterday. Like
Oh,
he's
it's
all
it's
over
just
the
like-
place.
God,
Also, like, someone else I love, Benny the Butcher. I love him, too.
Yeah.
But I just really love people that just really, he's just another person that, like, really just puts on for Cambridge, puts on
Exactly.
for Massachusetts.
He's like Smoke Bolger. He never shied away from where he's from.
Right, he's
He
like, I'm
always
from
talks about it.
Cambridge, and I was like, Cambridge is another one of those places where I'm like, I think people don't realize how rough some parts of Cambridge are.
Well, a lot of
People
people
do
give
not.
Millie, a lot of people give Millie shit. They're like, "Oh, you're from Cambridge. You can't be that."
I was
hard."
like,
It's
you don't know people
you
from
don't
Cambridge.
know.
Then I have one of my
Yeah.
exes was from Cambridge, and whoa,
Yeah,
I
people
think even
because Harvard is there.
right.
I think that's what it is.
But I feel like it was one of those things. Like maybe I would be one of those people that were like, ha, you're from Cambridge. Shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, like you're not from like Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. Like shut
yeah,
up.
no, a
But
lot of people
when I
question
dated
Millie
someone
as,
from
like,
Cambridge and he brought me like around these different, I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
I was like, this is no joke out here. Like it's crazy in Cambridge.
yeah.
Who would have known that?
No, I know. A lot of people questioned Millie's when he first came out, and were like,
I was like, no, I
how can you
believe
be
it.
this hard from Cambridge? It's
I
like,
believe
no.
it.
Yeah. Scary place out there.
Yeah,
Scary. MIT kids
he
are
did.
also scary.
Millie's, yeah, right, in their own way.
They are.
Millie's also. He did recently that thing with China Mac Eats, and they went into Cambridge and just like they explored like the Haitian culture there and all the Haitian food and everything. Like a lot of people don't realize there's that much culture in Cambridge.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to everybody from Cambridge.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not Boston.
No,
It's
because
not.
they also
Yeah.
get mad if you say
Yeah.
they're from
no,
Boston.
they're their own thing. Like
That's like the
Yeah.
worst thing to say. They're like, absolutely not.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's right next to it, but it's not the same
Right,
thing.
but it's
Very
like
close.
also
It's like-
we're separated by
It's
like the
New York-
Charles.
Yeah, it's like
like
New York City. It's like New York City and Jersey City. Like they're separated by water, but they're
it's like
They're obviously
we're
not the same
neighbors,
place.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's different.
But they are the same place. Somebody just told me that. I just
What?
got a call that they're the same place. That's what
I
someone
don't
just told
think
me.
so, man. You're causing some controversy again.
Yeah, I don't know. Ah, no, they are. They're the same place.
Oh,
That's
damn.
it.
Oh man, that's like saying Worcester and Boston's the same place. Like,
No, because those are not even next to each other. That's like an hour away.
Yeah. Well, if you look at, I don't know, prices of houses in Worcester versus in Boston, they're at least far different that way.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I wanted to, it's like half the price out in Worcester. I want to move, but it's like an hour away.
yeah, I have a
wanna
lot
go.
of friends that have bought houses in Worcester.
Joyner Lucas bought the biggest house in Worcester.
Did he?
He
I
bought a mansion there, yeah.
I saw him put the eyes on the picture, but I
Yep.
didn't know if he actually
No, he
did
bought it, yeah.
Good for him.
Good for
That's
him.
exciting.
Good for him.
That's always been my dream. It was like, if I'm a rapper, like, you know, and I make it out on the national stage, that I
Yeah.
still live in Massachusetts.
Get like Tom Brady's house in Brookline or something.
I don't know about that because I'm notoriously cheap,
Oh, okay.
and mansions creep me out.
Honestly, I agree. I would never
It's
live
too
in a
much
mansion.
space.
I would
It
never live in a
is.
mansion.
No,
I would feel
I would never.
uncomfortable.
Possibly without a big family, like you
Yeah,
couldn't
unless you have
possibly be
like
in,
12
all the
kids.
rooms,
Like, why
yeah.
do you need?
Or have multiple generations in the house, which is that
Could happen too.
I mean, also, like, I would have probably like a 2-bedroom condo in Boston, and you really do have to be rich to buy a 2-bedroom condo
Oh,
in
yeah.
Boston. So,
Oh yeah,
That's basically a mansion
It's
in
funny.
most
Yes,
other
right.
places.
and it's like not even a knock on Worcester's real estate to say that it's half the price because that's like normal prices.
Normal
And, like,
prices.
Boston-
right, that's like, this is
Boston's
what it's
just through the
supposed
roof.
to be.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're just like, you know, I used to live in this house that was like in Dorchester that was like run, like slumlord, like
They're
bad.
like $3,500 a
Right.
month.
And the
Yeah.
house,
No utilities.
yeah.
yeah, it was so ridiculous. But the house was just in terrible shape, and it just sold for almost $1 million.
Yeah,
That is
happens.
crazy.
I had a college apartment just like that. It was
Everything's
so
a
bad.
million now. It's like everything.
But it's like for this.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, the person that ended up buying it before they sold it, they did do some work on it, so it doesn't look the same. But I was like, still, I was like $1 million. I was like, I lived there. I lived in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think anything should be $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
Well, especially when you're like sitting in the house and you're just like, this is worth $1 million. Like, it feels strange.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, these floors are $1 million floors. Like, I don't know.
You're like, this
Right.
isn't big enough to be $1 million.
Yeah.
It's crazy. $1 million isn't what it used to be.
No, it's actually, yeah, it's like 100K now.
Yeah,
It's like what 100K
seriously.
was in 1990.
Honestly, when you think of some of the people that bought houses like in late 80s, early 90s in Boston, and they spent like $90,000, like to now be like, if you still have that house, you are a millionaire.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I think my grandparents, they sold a house, a triple decker in Dorchester for like $8,000. And like now they don't have it. And
For $8,000.
seriously, and they live in Weymouth now. And I was like, you just sort of held on to it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like,
It would be worth a little more than $8,000.
yeah.
We worth a lot more. You add like 2 more zeros on that at least.
At least. Oh my god.
Wow.
I think I looked up the house and it's like $1.5 million. I think they count them as like 500 a unit now.
Your grandparents fumbled the bag.
Big time.
They
Big
fumbled
time.
the bag.
You know, my grandparents did the same thing. They sold their house like maybe 15 years ago or so, 20 years ago, and like moved to Georgia. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, you should have stayed a little bit longer.
It would be worth it. Oh well.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, how could you expect it though? Because like
No.
you never think like right now it feels like how could houses get any more expensive, and then like maybe they just will, and it'll feel crazy to not have bought one now. You know, it's like a weird. It's
It's
so
either
strange.
they're going to get more expensive or it's going to be like a bubble. And
That's- yeah,
then everyone's house is going to be worthless.
Fingers crossed. Haven't
Yep.
bought one yet.
I was
Yeah.
like, sorry for everyone that owns a home in Boston.
Yeah.
I don't want you to lose all your money, but I
would
also
love it if
would
you
like to buy a
did.
house in Boston.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like waiting for the
It's
crash.
like, bring it down. a little bit.
Exactly. Oh my god.
I'm swooping in.
Yeah, it'd be so great to live in the city.
That would
I mean,
be nice.
Yeah, if money was no object, it's like one of those nice garages, a nice elevator. Like I want to go somewhere.
Elevator. Look at you
Yeah.
go.
I know I lived in a building like that in Jamaica Plain before I moved out to New Inn. So it had like the garage and everything, and I was just like, "This is amazing!" Like,
Yeah, like you don't have to shovel and stuff. Like,
the
oh my God.
non-shoveling was
Ooh,
like
that's big.
I went from the South End to Jamaica Plain on top of that. So I went from like having
Hardcore
people
resident parking.
fist fighting over parking spots, especially in snow.
Yeah.
Like people
Oh, it
fist
gets
fighting.
real out there.
Oh no, like tire slash. I had a neighbor come outside with a
people
shotgun one
They'll
time.
lay on the horn
Like
if
over a
someone's,
parking
in your
spot.
Yeah.
I almost got beat up over a parking spot one time because they thought that I moved their marker, but I didn't.
What?
Someone else had parked in their spot and moved the marker. So when I came, there was nothing in it. So I parked, and they came out like, oh my God. I was like, no, I didn't move it. It was already moved. I don't think they really believed me, but they were ready to fight. And I was like, we live across the street from each other.
Oh my
We are
God.
not fighting over this spot. So going from that to like a garage, I was like,
Yeah.
this is heaven.
That's crazy.
This is heaven.
I know. $1 million idea. We got to build some more garages in Boston.
The garages when I lived in the South End, for a parking spot was almost the price of a house.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
There would be like,
I
you
thought-
could buy a parking spot like in Back Bay, but it would be like a couple $100,000.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, to like buy outright the spot?
Yeah, so you own the spot.
Oh, okay. Because I know you can like rent the spots.
No,
for,
you
like-
can rent the spot, and the rent is also like a mortgage.
Yeah, it's like
'Cause they're-
$400 a month, right?
It's like even more than that. I've seen parking spots that were like $1,500 a month, $1,000 a month.
Oh my God.
And I had to, when I lived in JP, I did have to pay for my spot, but it was only like $100 a month. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do that. But
Yeah, that's what, like,
no,
what
but
I've
I've
heard.
seen parking spots in Back Bay go for like $150,000, $200,000,
Wow.
and you just own it. But then I'm like, is that even close to your house though? Because it'll be
Is
like
that worth
in a
it?
garage. So then it's like you just park your car, and then what? You still have to walk like 5 blocks.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Like, what's the
that's
point of
crazy.
that?
Yeah, I know some people who live in the North End and they have a pass to the garage, and I don't know what it is per month, but
It's
Yeah.
probably insane. Like, it's like, that's how bad Boston is. I'm like, parking spots cost as much as houses in normal places.
That is
I
wild.
think honestly something's got to give because that is crazy.
Yeah.
I think people
Something's
are
gotta
getting basically
give, I
paid
agree.
the same amount for like all these years, and things are just like more and more and
Yeah.
more expensive.
It's not like we're getting paid that much
Can we
more.
not? Like-
Right.
yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, it's the gentrification. It's like pushing out the regular people,
Right.
the middle
Yeah.
class people, the lower middle class people, to bring in, really rich single people, because a lot of the, buildings that are going up, some of them have 3 bedrooms, but a lot of them are studio to 2 bedrooms. So the building that I lived in, I think like the biggest apartment was like a 3-bedroom maybe.
Damn. And
But
it's
it
like a
was definitely
building?
geared towards like young, like professionals with way more money than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Which is
yeah.
crazy because it's not like there's like a ton of young professionals with a shit ton of money. Like, I don't know. There's quite a few in Boston, I guess, but
Yeah, a lot of parents
You're-
probably footing the bill.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
Just,
There's
just
that,
please
too.
move out.
there's definitely that too. Yeah.
Absolutely, especially with all the colleges and things, there's definitely a lot of that. Like rich parents are like, oh, get out of my house. I'm gonna send you to
Right. So they can tell people that their
BU
kids
or
live
something.
in this nice area, but really they're paying for it.
You know what I would like to see? If Boston housing became affordable so that everyone could have a little more money to put towards their artistry and building and like gear and stuff like that, home studios. Like, it just seems like if you're spending all your money on rent, how could you possibly like invest back into yourself and like marketing and all that stuff? That could be part of why we haven't popped as a city. Everything's
could-
It's
honestly-
so expensive.
yeah.
Honestly, that could be part of it.
Because I mean, it could be too. Because I know a lot of amazing people that have left,
Yeah.
and it's like I can't blame you. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, even living in Newton now, my apartment in Newton is cheaper than
yeah.
what I would have got in Boston.
Really?
Like, how
And Newton's
insane?
nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, how insane is that?
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is. Well, someday. I think we'll figure it out. It's going to balance out, but it is pretty crazy right now because I've been so patient trying to get a house. So it's
I
just
have
taking
too. I'm like,
forever,
I just
yeah.
want to buy a house, and I'm just like, yeah, not at these prices.
Yeah,
Craziness.
that's what it is. But, oh, I'm sorry. Before I know, we'll let you go soon, but I want to know.
I'm having an amazing time.
Yeah.
Good.
Or stay all
Glad.
night. Perfect.
Glad.
Until the cameras die. I did want to know, can we get Brandie Blaze merch anywhere?
Yes, so we're going to be launching brandieblaze.com. It's not December yet. I'm like, oh my God, it's the 30th, right?
Wait, is it?
It's
I
about
was
to
actually,
be December in 2 hours.
Yes, so in December before the show, we're launching brandieblaze.com. And, we'll have the typical merch, t-shirts, things like that. But also I have something really special coming out. that I don't think anyone else here has done. So I'm very excited about that.
Wait, like merch-wise?
Yes.
What is it? Baby onesies?
Listen, I'm here for all the ideas. No.
I always suggest baby onesies because everyone's having babies right now. So I'll just throw them a onesie.
You know, just like a little hint, it does have to do with my logo.
Lipstick. I guessed it, didn't I?
You did.
Oh.
Hey.
So,
Is it your own special blend? Like, how does
Yes,
this
so
work? Are we allowed to talk about it? Is it
not
secret?
too much, but
All right.
yes.
I'm sorry I
but-
guessed it.
No, it's fine. Because everyone's gonna find out anyway.
This will come out in like several weeks, so I don't know
Yeah.
when you plan on dropping this.
But yeah, so I decided to start going into makeup. So just starting with the lipstick, and I picked the colors, picked everything to go with it. And I'm really excited about it.
That's
Like,
awesome.
That is exciting.
trying to branch out and do, new things. So I hope that I can, grow it from just lipstick to, eyeshadow, liners. And then, my big dream is to be able to eventually do foundation, which is like really, really hard.
Okay.
Because-
So they're different. Like whatever the material that foundation is harder to.
Yeah, because
do,
people, there's so many different skin tones. People have so many different
Oh,
skin
right,
tones.
yeah.
And I think especially for women of color, it could be really hard for us to find matches that work for us. So that's really like my big goal is to get to that point where I could have you could do a full face with
That's
just
awesome.
Brandy Blaze makeup.
Wow, that would be cool.
That is incredible. Are there any other rappers that have their own makeup line? Is that a thing?
I'm sure somebody does, but at least
Sounds
not
like-
here.
Yeah, I don't know of anyone. Maybe like Nicki Minaj or Cardi B does, but I have no idea.
All I could think about was like the Kylie lip kit. Doesn't like Kylie Jenner have
Yeah,
a
she
lip kit?
does.
Yeah.
She's not a rapper.
Oh, I know.
Very
No,
true.
sorry, I didn't mean rapper. I was just thinking
No, I
like
know.
celebrity.
I mean,
yeah.
when I think of like, celebrities, I think of, Rihanna
Yeah.
with Fenty, which is
Okay,
like
so she has.
incredible.
Okay.
I think that was definitely like a big inspiration, but also, I just want to do things that are more inclusive. So, different products that could work for different people. So, I'm really just trying to figure out what that means for me. So, starting with the makeup, but then, I want to branch out more into, plus size clothing, things like that. Like there's all of these communities that are so underserved. And it's just like, and get ignored by like, the makeup industry, like is historically really ignored women of color. And, it's hard for us to find shades and makeups and things that work for us. It's gotten better, but it's still a long way to go. I think that's the same thing with clothes for like plus size people. Like now it's better, but there's a time where it was just like all plus size clothes where it was like clothes for like grandmas, like sweats and like sweaters with those bat wing weird fucking sweaters.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
That's not right.
and that was like all you could get. But I'm like, there's a whole community
Yeah.
of like fly plus size women that
Right.
like, want the clothes. I'm
Right.
like, do y'all want to make money or not?
Right,
Because
exactly.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. There's people who wear them. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome. That's
is
awesome that you're kind of taking that initiative to
Yeah.
yeah, I think
to
that
make some changes in that department.
I
'cause-
think it connects to my music too, because that's just like who I am as an artist as well.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
just having a different viewpoint from a different, perspective that maybe isn't what's normally seen in rap.
It's traditional, but
Right.
but it needs to be, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely. So, that's why I'm here for it. Like, let's go.
Let's go. That's awesome. So, musician, and you're also just kind of. I mean, you do a lot of things, obviously.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, model,
is-
actor, dancer,
Model, act-
choreographer, director. You're really doing it all.
I really think about, when I think about my career, I like to think about what do I want to do besides music?
Right.
Because obviously, I still have a day job, but, my goal is not to have one. So,
Same.
as all of our goals, right?
Yeah.
So, but, I love my day job because I get to work with the community, and that's what I'm passionate about. So at least, I'm lucky enough that I'm able to do something that I'm passionate about. But my goal has always been, I think especially the last maybe like year or two, last couple years, I've really started thinking about what am I going to do outside of music? music is like such like a fickle thing. Like it's you hot today, you could be cold tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think I think we're getting better about people's ages in hip hop as well.
I agree. We've talked about this.
We're now starting to get better where people are popping in their 30s. People are signing major deals in their 40s.
Millie's is 35 and he just is starting to
That's
pop.
exactly. So it's like we're getting so much better about age.
I agree.
But
we're
I think
caring
still,
less about age, which
Yes.
is what we should have done.
which is like who
from the
should
start.
care? Like I think
It's
someone
like, why did we
Yeah.
ever give a shit what someone's
Right.
age
I
is?
think like someone like made the example like the Rolling Stones could go on tour. They like 99 years old.
Yeah.
They could go on tour right now. Put out an album right now. People is going to go all for it. People are going
Yeah.
to be excited. And this is
And like a lot of the big rappers are like pushing 50 or 60 now,
right.
and
Like
they're
shout out
still
to
out there.
Jay-Z
And
who's
Jay and
who's
Dre
like what
and
50
Eminem
now?
and like they're all around 50 now.
But Jay-Z can still drop an album. It's an event.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
People want to hear Jay-Z. I want another Jay-Z album
Yes.
personally.
I
I'm
actually
like,
didn't
give it
even
to me.
realize
But
they were 50, but yeah, that's interesting.
Jay's got to be 50.
yeah,
now,
he's at least 50. So
Yeah.
it's like this is like the first time where we have like the legacy acts where people are in their 50s and still can draw and drop an album and sell out an arena. And we've never had that in rap before. So it's really a natural progression that now people can get their start later.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's rappers signing major deals at 40.
Griselda, those dudes are like
Griselda-
40,
Yeah,
right?
they are. Like Benny the Butcher's almost 40. Like
Yeah.
that's incredible. That's what you want because it's like not everything has to be youth driven.
Yeah.
Like it's a good thing, but also you're not like put out to pasture at 32.
yeah,
Like
and
it's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right, just because you
Experience
didn't
says a
make
lot.
it at 32, that means
That doesn't
you're
mean it's
done.
not gonna happen, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, rap could be fickle. So I always was just like, what can I do outside of music that will allow me to live the life I want to live, be able to take care of my family,
Right.
but still feels true to me and who I am.
Love that.
I feel like you've hit the nail on the head.
You're definitely doing a lot. You're doing everything that you want to do, it seems like, which is key.
I'm very blessed,
Yeah.
incredibly blessed. I'm doing things that I never thought I would do. You know, when you guys saw me at Maggie's, none of these things that I'm doing right now were a thought to me.
Wow.
None of it. I was just more concerned about booking shows, honestly.
Yeah.
And that was really my concern. Like, I just want people to hear me rap.
Yeah.
Because
And
that
I
was
never
the
thought of
first
anything
step.
else.
If you didn't get people to hear you rap, like Owen and I and
Yeah.
anyone else who was at those
Yep.
shows, that's what built your foundation.
Absolutely. So, you know, I'm just really blessed and grateful that, you know, my career has taken this trajectory where I have the opportunity to do these things that I never thought I would do. Or just be able to, you know, have my mind open to different ideas and opportunities that I wouldn't have thought of, you know, and it's not a thing of where I'm like, you know, let me turn this down because I don't think I can do it or I don't think I have the capacity. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'll try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'll at least try.
There you go. You gotta at least try.
You know,
course.
never know. I could end up being a Broadway star instead of a rapper, which I
Yeah,
will
you
take.
You could.
This is why I'm
I
trying to
will
get in on the
take
musical.
that.
I want to see.
I will take that all day. Listen.
I love it.
Love it.
Well, we're extremely happy for you, and you know, just happy to see everything you're accomplishing right now
Oh man, thank you.
after all these years. Like I said, we saw something in you in those.
Yeah,
At those
we
shows. Like,
discovered Brandie
No,
Blaze.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we saw something in you in those early shows. You're a natural born entertainer, performer. Like that.
Thank you.
That we definitely saw, and now to see you, you know, making all these other dreams a reality and really taking off with the music thing, it's awesome for us to see, and
Oh man.
we were so happy to have you on this podcast, and it was a great
Thank you
time.
guys. I had an amazing time. Thank you guys again for everything you do, and y'all definitely keep me humble. Y'all really do, because I'm like, yep, y'all knew me when it was 6 people at the show.
Yeah. We were 2 of them,
We were
probably.
here for the
Yeah.
journey. We were two
You
of
when
them.
y'all
We
met
were
me when
almost
y'all were
half.
you guys were a third of the crowd.
Good times. Still
Those
love
were great times.
But we got brandieblaze.com.
Coming
Brandie
soon.
Blaze on all social media.
Absolutely.
Is there no underscores? Just Brandie Blaze?
Nope, just at Brandie Blaze.
And Brandy with an IE.
Yes. Please spell
Gotcha.
my name right. I don't know who you'll find. No, there's like a weed model also named Brandie Blaze.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the weed model.
Yeah.
No, because that's definitely not me.
Brandie Blaze, episode 105, correct?
I
Yes.
think so, yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. Love you guys.
We love you.
Ew.